guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing this sweet candy granny square as the next part 11 of our Big Shop blanket series. So I'm using Vanna's Choice yarn. Once again, I've used Vanna's Choice for this entire project. I'm going to be doing my candy in a baby pink color with some white accents. So go ahead and start with whatever color you'd like for your candy. I'm using an H 5mm hook. And we're going to start with a magic ring. You can use any color for this. I definitely would go with something a little more pastel, is going to look more natural for a candy, but any bright color would work as well, just whatever you have. So go ahead and chain up 2 from your magic ring, and then we're going to work some double crochets into the magic ring. We're going to do 10 double crochets. So make sure that you're holding that tail secure. If you have any questions or need any help on any of these basic stitches or how to do a magic ring, please see my crochet beginner series. So here we are after 10 double crochets. We're just gonna slip stitch in the first stitch. Go ahead and tighten that magic ring and then chain 2, and then 2 double crochets in each stitch around, starting with that very first one. Make sure not to skip that first stitch. So you can see 2 double crochets in the same stitch, and we're going to continue that all the way around, so you should have 20 double crochets in this round 2. Here we are finishing that last one, and we're going to slip stitch into the top of that first double crochet, slip stitch there, and then we're going to go ahead and chain up 2. And then next in round 3 we're going to do 2 double crochets in the first stitch, just like we just did. So there's 1 and 2 in that same first stitch that we can see clearly there. And then in the next stitch, we're just going to do 1 double crochet. And we're going to keep repeating that all the way around. 2 in the same stitch and then 1. So just one more time, here's our first and our second double crochet in that same stitch, and then 1 double crochet in the next stitch. Just so that nobody's confused, there's 2, 1, 2, 1, and keep repeating that all the way around. You should wind up with your last stitch being that double crochet by itself, and then go ahead and slip stitch in that first stitch. So now this is the basis of our candy motif. So now it's going to be a matter of adding things on. So I'm using my little clover yarn cutter here to go ahead and snip that yarn. We're going to go ahead and finish off at this point here. And now we're going to add our white swirl embellishment. So go ahead and take some white yarn and start with a slip knot, and I'm going to make a long chain. I chained 35, so just go ahead and chain 30, 35 depending on how big you want your swirl. Again, any of this can be modified if you prefer it one way or another. If you wanted to leave this part off, you totally can, and it'll still look like a little candy. I just like the added detail. So go ahead and thread a tapestry needle, and you're just going to sew this chain down. So after you chain 35, go ahead and finish that off, and then you're going to just sew it down in kind of a little swirl pattern with your tapestry needle. I didn't really pin it or anything, I just kind of positioned it as I went and went ahead and sewed it down while I kind of held it in place. And then as soon as this step is over, you're going to want to go ahead and weave in all of your ends. You'll have some ends from your circle and from the swirl being sewn on there. Go ahead and sew in your ends just so they're not getting in the way. We're going to just be adding on to this piece. So now go ahead and do your granny square stitches. So I'm going to do my granny square stitches in white. You could do another accent color. You have lots of options here. So go ahead and join your yarn in any stitch around the outside and go ahead and chain up 2. And then we're just going to start working this corner cluster. So if you have any questions about stitching your granny square around your Big Shop motif, please see either one of the earlier Big Shop blanket series squares. The ice cream is a great one. I go over it in a little bit more detail. Or you can look at the traditional granny square video that is also on my channel in this Bake Shop Blanket Series playlist. So the traditional granny square video will go over your corner clusters and your side clusters if you've never done a traditional granny square. If you have done traditional granny squares in the past, you're going to follow the exact same process as far as those corner clusters being 3 double crochets, chain 3, 3 double crochets, and then side clusters being just 3 double crochets with a chain 1 in between. If you're very confused by what I'm saying right now, please go watch that traditional granny square video that's also on my channel, and that should hopefully clear up any confusion. I'm skipping, on this particular Bake Shop motif, I'm skipping 3 stitches in between my clusters. So in between corner and side clusters, I'm skipping 3 stitches. And that should wind up just perfectly for you coming back around. We need to do 3 rounds of our granny square stitches. So here we are finishing off after that 3rd round. Once you do 3 rounds, you can go ahead and finish your yarn off and weave in those ends. So we can see kind of how this square is looking so far. And this will match the same size as all of your other Bake Shop blanket squares. So now we just need to add those little twisty tails to our candy. So I'm going to use my pink yarn once again, match whatever yarn you used for your circle, and I'm going to chain 6. So start with a slip knot and then chain 6 with this pink yarn, and then we're going to work a double crochet in the 2nd chain from our hook. So 2nd chain there, double crochet, and then we're going to keep double crocheting down the line. So that is number 2, 3rd double crochet, and then we should have 4, so there's our 4th double crochet. Go ahead and chain up 2, 1 and 2, and go ahead and turn your work. And now we're going to work a double crochet increase. So that's just 2 double crochets in that first stitch. So double crochet increase there, and then we're just going to work a regular double crochet in the next stitch, and another regular double crochet in the next one, and then we're also going to do another double crochet increase in that last stitch. So what that should look like is 2 double crochets in the first, double crochet, and 2 double crochets in the last, so making a little trapezoid shape here. Chain up 2, and then we're going to turn and just work a double crochet in each stitch across. So at this point we should have 6 double crochets here in row 3. You are going to need to make 2 of these little twisty ends of our candy, 1 for each side. I'm just going to show you 1, and then you can back up the video and do it again with me if you need to. So after we've double crocheted across, we're going to chain 1 and turn, and then we're just going to single crochet back across just to kind of finish this off nicely. So go ahead and single crochet back across those 6 stitches, so you should have 6 single crochets here as well. And then once we've done that last one, we're just going to finish off our yarn here, leaving a little bit of a tail for sewing. You don't need a whole lot. This is a pretty small little piece of work that we're appliquing on, so you don't need like feet and feet of yarn for your tail. You just need enough to kind of sew it down. So now take your tapestry needle, and we're going to kind of manipulate the shape of this twisty end here. So after you've threaded your tapestry needle with that tail from your beginning starting chain, I'm going to try to gather this first row of stitches together. So work kind of in and around that first 4 double crochets. I just kind of went around 2 of the posts and then pull it tightly. Don't just weave in that end, but pull it tightly and then come back across the same way you came, working around those stitches once again to kind of secure that down. You can go back and forth here several times if you need to, pulling it as tight as you can to gather that first row of stitches together to make more of a more triangular shape instead of a trapezoidal shape. So then you're just going to sew this down. Make sure that you sew all the way around the edges of this little twisty part to make sure that it's nice and secure, and then you're going to need to do this same little section one more time and sew that down on the other side there. So you can see how this looks all finished. It's super quick and easy. I hope you guys enjoyed this part of the Bake Shop Blanket series. Make sure to check back next Friday for the last installment, the 12th video for our Bake Shop Blanket, and then I'll be showing you how to finish it up. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next week.